Hi, welcome to our all levels yoga practice, 30 minutes. It's good to see you. I'm Betsy. We're gonna start standing. So come on up to standing. Stand in bare feet on your yoga mat and place your feet hip distance apart. Okay, look down at your feet and point the toes straight ahead and your heels straight back. Lift and spread all 10 toes. You can keep looking down as wide as you can, and then one by one, like pinky toe, fourth, third, second, to the big toe, lie them back down. Lay them back down to the mat. Take your hands to your hips. You can still keep looking down a little bit here, and take your body weight just a little bit forward. Tone in your abdomen. That'll help you stay upright. But what happens in your feet? Do you have to grip your toes as you come further forward? And then go back towards your center line. Stand up nice and tall as you do that. Keep toning in the abdomen, muscle, navel, back towards the spine. Relax the arms. What happens if you lean back a little bit? If you lean back and put most of the weight into your heels? Your toes kind of lift up and reflex. Do your thighs tone or pull up a little bit? And then go back to the center. Good? So for most of this practice, we're going to keep our mind's eye, our focus, totally in the feet. We'll see some typical yoga poses and movements, but we're going to do all of that from the perspective of how does it treat our feet today. Take a seat. Stretch your feet out in front of you, your legs out in front of you. Just like we did standing, try to place your feet parallel to one another. Flex the feet with the heels down on your yoga mat and the toes straight up towards the sky. And you might notice, I notice this more when I'm sitting, my natural tendencies to turn the feet in or out, and then the columns of the legs do the same thing. Like if I'm just relaxing, or even sometimes when I'm trying, but not fully aware, my feet still stay a little bit turned out. We're all a little different. So put all of the awareness into keeping the feet as parallel to one another, as flexed as possible here. And then can you point one foot but keep the other flexed? And switch, flex, and point the other side. I like doing this one at a time because I can specifically notice not only is that more strain or stretch on the top of the foot there, but it changes the stretch all the way up the column of the leg then from the flex side. Go back to the other side one more time. And then bend the knees so that you can be just kind of in an easier little huddle. And take your first two fingers and find the base of your big toe. Can you touch that? And then find the base of your pinky toe, like not on the pinky, below it, this pad of the foot. We're going to call those the front two corners of our triangle. And then the last corner of your triangle is your heel. You just hold the heel. And we'll talk about that triangle of the foot throughout practice today and making sure that your full triangle pressed down evenly. Now if you create your feet like a book, smash them together, Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. And notice again here, if you smash the base of your big toe, the base of your pinky toe, and your heel together, so that triangle of your foot, you can get a good look at how your arches of your feet are. We have 3 arches in each foot. And the smashing together, I can get a good sense of how one arch, one foot is a little different than the other. In general, do you have a high inner arch, a flatter foot or arch. Just kind of take shape. Because how our feet are, of course, is going to affect the whole chain of the body for our yoga pose. That's it. We were just taking a little bit of notice. I want us to stand back up. Come up to the front of the mat. We'll get into these bigger movements that we're traditionally used to in a yoga practice, and a yoga postures or asana practice. Okay, inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Pause here with all 10 fingers on the floor. And then look at your feet. Are they hip distance apart and parallel to one another? Change them up until they are. And then take your hands to your shins. Make your legs straighter and extend your chest out in front of you, half lift. Step back to plank position. Looks like the top of your push-up. As you come to plank today, squeeze your feet close in to one another. Pull your heels forward over the line of the toes so that you're getting a good stretch and flex in your foot. Make your arms straight and look a little bit forward of the hands. And then lower flat down to your yoga mat. Turn to the top of your feet. Try to keep the heels squeezed in to one another. Extend the arms back. Palms up, lift. Can you lift the feet up? And then lower it all the way down and press back to child's pose. Have the knees apart, big toes together as you press back. Usually I keep the arms extended out in front, but I want you to pull your arms back so that you can very purposely sit heavy, seat down onto the heels so that the front of your foot is getting a good stretch. If this brings you too much intensity, maybe it's in the knees, you can, of course, back off. If it's not the knees that are the intensity and it really is the front of the foot, that's what we're trying to stretch right now. A good option is to roll your yoga mat when you're in this pose and just have the front arch of your foot a little lifted on that. That might ease some of the stretch. If I don't want to mess around with moving my yoga mat to stay in this pose, I'll have a small towel, like a hand towel, roll it up and put it underneath that front place of your foot. Okay, we're all in child's pose. Stretch your arms out fully in front of you now and walk the hands a little bit over to the right side. And then across the center and over to the left side. And come back in. Sit upright and bring the knees together. So we just changed the container of the torso, now straight up and down. Again, this is for the purpose of getting a stretch through the front of the feet. Let's add the arms just to make it more interesting. Interlace the hands. Send the palms up. Relax the shoulders, but do push through your thumb and your first finger. Breathe. And then you can release the hands. Change to sit on tucked toes. Reach back and squeeze your heels together. They like to part. Sometimes they need to be a little bit apart. Hurts my big toes to press all the way in. But the action of the heels is meant to still squeeze towards the midline. Take the hands in prayer and twist. Just get what you get. You don't have to overdo it here. Just twist to the right, across your center, and twist to the second side. Back to the center. Come out to all fours. You might need a little pat out through the feet. Downward facing dog. Tuck the toes and lift your hips. Here's a position where the heel of your foot is often off of the mat. In fact, I want us to lift the heels up towards the sky. Keep the arms straight, but bend your knees now down low towards the line of your ankles. And keep lifting your seat high into the sky. Can you imagine that your armpits are kind of like the arch in your foot? You want to keep that arch lifted so we're not sinking in our arms. And that actually can help give you more length to lift into your seat. Okay, re-straighten the legs. And now push your thighs back and your heels down towards the ground. Big, big stretch. And we can rebend our knees enough to walk our feet all the way up to our hands. Hands to the shins, half lift. Forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. And then just lower the arms down by your side. We'll do a few more rounds, add in some lunges to our sun salutations. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Again, pause there and make sure your feet, full triangle of the foot, even on the ground. Rock a little forward back until you find that even center. Try to stay with that as you go into your half lift. And now keep the right foot forward and step your left foot back into a lunge. And rock forward and back. I want that back heel to do most of the work, to pull us forward and back. And once we get that motion, again, change your focus to the front foot. Make sure that the front triangle of the foot stays flat on the mat. So if you bring your knee too far forward and it makes your heel lift up, that's too far. We want to keep that triangle flat on the mat the whole time with this movement. Then we get to know our range. Stop in your center and lift the right arm up to the sky. Place the right hand down to the inside of your foot and spin your left heel flat against the mat. Okay, line up. Right heel, imagine drawing a line straight down your mat, and it should hit at your left heel, heel to heel alignment. Push front triangle foot down, back triangle foot down, even there. And then work your way upright. Hands at the hips, warrior two in the legs, meaning bend your front knee, keep your back leg straight. Mind's eye, still in our feet. Let's do a few things in warrior two. A, we want to keep the hips and the shoulders fully open to the side. A lot of times this pose, you take your gaze over the front leg, and that sometimes gets us a little bit concerned or just off balance in the shoulders. It's just the head that turns, but the body should stay open. But then where exactly does the body go? If you keep your feet planted firm on the ground, this is overdoing it. I want you to push your hips forward, your pelvis forward, and lean your head and shoulders back. And how are you having to grip the floor to keep you upright in your balance? It's probably a little intense. If we come through center and then overdo the other side, push your butt back and lean your shoulders and your head too far forward, again, where's the pressure in your feet? That kind of makes my front knee hurt a little bit. So doing those two extremes, I can more easily find my center. How about you? Give it a try. And when I'm fully in the center, maybe even bend a little more into the front leg, extend the arms out, turn the head, look over the front fingertips. Keeping my back foot fully engaged to the ground, turn the palms up and lift the right hand high. And then take your right elbow to your right knee. but don't let it fall or push down. Instead, push through the elbow, through the shoulder to feel more lifted in the chest, and extend the top arm, palm down, overhead. Extended side angle. Are you still evenly pressing through the three corners, the triangle of both of your feet? Lower the hands down now, either side of the front foot. Step back to plank position. Squeeze the heels in, lift the heels forward over the toe mounts. Lower flat down to your mat. Now change, top of your feet. Press the top of your feet and your hands down. Squeeze the heels in. If you squeeze your heels in, it probably makes you squeeze your butt too. And both those things together keep us happy and safe in this pose. We can find a deeper back bend. All right, go back to downward facing dog. Let's try this on the second side. So step your left foot forward and rock a little bit forward and back. Remember, keep the whole foot flat on the ground. Use the back foot to make the movement happen. Find your center, stay with it. Lift the left arm up. Set the hand down to the inside of your foot and spin the back heel flat against the ground. Again, heel to heel alignment. Both triangles in the feet, evenly pressing down and out. Come up, warrior two. A little quicker here, we can do that over exaggeration, forward and back to find the center. If I lean too far forward, my heels are finding a little bit more weight. If I lean my if I lean my head and shoulders too far forward, I'm gripping in my toes a little much. Knowing those two things, I'm going to even it out. Extend the arms, gaze out over the front fingertips. Turn the palms up, lift the left arm high, reverse warrior. Still pressing evenly through the feet. It doesn't change because the levers of the arms changed. Same goes here. Elbow down to the knee, top arm overhead, extended side angle. I'm hoping this much attention to detail not only helps us in our time on the yoga mat, step back to plank position, but very much helps us in our time off of the yoga mat, the most part of our days. Lower it down. I find a little bit more freedom actually when I give attention to detail in one specific spot so that I don't get overwhelmed with the noise that's happening in the rest of the world. Press it back to child's pose. That's my purpose here, trying to give us lots of attention to detail so all we can pay attention to are our feet right now. Okay. Come upright in a seated position and stretch your legs out in front of you. Cross one leg over the other, ankle over your thigh. So we're in a figure four shape here. And thread your fingers in between the toes. If you do our wellness check-in this week, we're working with the feet there as well. So you can get a little bit of this in 10 minutes instead of 30 if you're looking to repeat a practice for your feet later in the week. Circle the ankle one direction and the other. And then hold on to your leg above the ankle and shake it out. Okay, extend the leg. Before you do the other side, just give it like 2 breaths. Notice what you feel. And then we'll do the other side. Cross the other leg over. Nice hip opener here. Thread your fingers in between the toes. We're trying to go webbing to webbing as much as possible. And if you don't work with your feet a lot, that is a hard practice. So know that, give yourself, time. It might be something you're like, oh wow, I need to do more of that more often. Circle the ankles. It really aids us to have a good range of motion and flexibility in our feet to keep the whole body healthy. Okay, shake and release it out. We were here a little earlier, but it was more of a passive thing. Now more active. Soles of the feet together. Push. Base the big toe, base the pinky toe, and the heel all in. Sit up really tall. You can take the hands back behind you. The more you press the feet in, extend the knees out. As the knees go out, they usually start to go down a little bit. You don't have to do anything to try to pull the legs down. It's all, think about pushing feet in to extend the knees out. The push and the pull of yoga. Lean a little forward for a moment. Notice how that feels for you. Don't come back up. Hold on to your outer knees. Pull in. Come over to all fours once more. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Say once more. I don't know that we've specifically been to all fours yet in the practice. Do a little cat and cow here. Should feel nice. Imagine that the spine is sort of like the flex and the point of the feet, trying to move in two very different directions here. Okay, let's stretch into downward facing dog. Move your hands, a whole handprint further out in front. Let's start there so that you see this angle of wrist to shoulder, with the shoulders being drawn back from the line of the wrist. And then downward facing dog. Notice the shoulders are still drawn back from the line of the wrist. Okay. Keep your feet about as wide as your yoga mat. And then turn to the inside edge of your right foot, the outside edge of your left foot. Still thinking about the triangle of your foot as we move into side plank. Swing the right arm up to the sky. Imagine that the yoga mat kind of lifted and you're trying to press through all three corners of the feet still. And then lower the right hand and switch. Switch sides, go to the outside edge of the right foot, the inside edge of the left. And again, so on your left foot, pinky toes off the floor, big toes off the floor on the right foot, but there's still the energy, the action of pressing through those mounds. Swing the left arm up. And we still should have a little bit of a line, wrist angled to shoulder. And lower the left hand. Come back, child's pose. Pronate the arms so that the wrists are upright. Palms open, I should say. Okay, that's it for the most difficult pieces of the practice. Lie down onto your mat. And we'll finish up here with a little bit more guided stretch and noticing in our legs and feet. So right leg straight up towards the sky. You can hold on to the leg, but you really don't have to here. And I just want you to flex and point. Notice the difference. Where is the stretch in the leg? when you flex versus when you point. Okay, and then with the foot flexed, if you rotate the toes in, internal rotation, it's going to take the whole column of the leg with you. I want you to notice how far does that rotation happen on the first side. And then go to your external rotation, turn the toes out away from you. I have a lot more external rotation than I do internal. I can notice that. And then just a nice easy stretch, whatever feels good to you. Take it for a couple of breaths. Okay, we'll let the leg go. Let's do the second side, left leg. Do try to make the column of your legs straight here. If you have tighter hamstrings, you might be tended to have a bend in the knee. You can take the leg lower to get it straighter, that's fine. And then flex and point. Go slow enough that you can feel the difference and the change. Okay. And then try that internal rotation. This is me trying internal rotation on my left side versus my right side. I don't have much change. No big deal, but it's good to know. And then externally rotate. Sometimes we get into like complicated yoga poses and we're trying to break down, why does this work or not for me? If we can break down all of the details to get into things like, oh, right, I don't have a lot of internal rotation on that side, and so it's maybe not doable right now. For me, that helps take away the feelings of what I should or should not be able to do. Our bodies are asymmetrical. They're built that way. I think the design is right. So it's okay to have those asymmetries. Reach the arms overhead, big full reach. And then relax the arms down. This is our final relaxation. Even here, can you keep all of your attention and awareness in your feet? Wiggle the toes a little bit. Individually map or draw your feet in your mind. I have a 4-year-old and right now she wants me to draw her hand a lot on paper. Imagine that you're drawing your foot. Guide around each toe. Keep your mind busy with breath and feet. Allow attention even to your feet to drop away. Just be. You're welcome to take more time here. When you are ready, pull your knees into your chest, roll to one side, and come all the way back to a seated position. Sit in a way that feels good to you. If your feet are handy, maybe just hold on to them a little bit. Say thank you, awesome feet, for all you do for me. Thank you for the detail and the practice over the last 30 minutes. I hope it gives you the opportunity to stay focused, or perhaps the opportunity to let go of extra noise. Throughout the rest of this day, come back to the practice anytime. Namaste. Thank you.